I'm wondering, with regard to the transfer portal, we know that Brock is coming back. Have you gotten a definitive answer from any of the other players who had entered? And more generally speaking, how do you treat kids when they go into that portal? Are those scholarship spots open? Are you recruiting to them? Do you give them a timeline to maybe come back? Can you take us through that a little bit? Thank you.
Yeah, and that's, it's a subject that, we don't comment on publicly about the transfer portal, but there's a lot of things out there right now that are public. And this is a unique time in college basketball. There's more transfers in the portal today than there were last year the entire time. And it's a unique time to come in as a head coach. I've talked to every single one of the guys that, have entered, and we are actively trying to get them back. We're talking about them. We're talking to them. We're having conversations face-to-face, over Zoom, on FaceTime. But we are actively recruiting as well. And my goal is to, have a great team in place when it's time to tip off next season. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're striving to do. And there are a lot of great players that are out there, but we want our own. But we also want guys that are 2 feet in for Penn State, that bleed Penn State, that believe in this, that believe in our vision. And when we have that group, we're going to have a special group, and we're going to do some fun things together.
Ben Jones, statecollege.com, and then we'll have Dave Jones.
Hey, Micah, nice to meet you. Welcome to State College.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Purdue has obviously had success in Philadelphia and Southeast Pennsylvania, but that is obviously not the program's bread and butter. I'm curious how you would define the relationship that you have with that city and that part of the state.
Recruiting in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia has been a good place for Penn State here lately, and I think we continue to find the right players, whether they're from Philadelphia, or whether they're from Pittsburgh, whether they're from Harrisburg, wherever it may be. I think we need to have a base of where we recruit from. But when you have a school like Penn State, a name like Penn State, large alumni following and base, I think we can stretch our recruiting out to a lot of different areas. And we're excited to get to know everyone. We've had, great feedback so far in terms of the different areas and the places that we can recruit, but we want to find the right fits for us. And, wherever that kid may come from, if he fits my values, if he fits the values of Penn State, and he fits the guys in our locker room, then we're going to recruit him, whether he's from Philadelphia or whether he's from Hawaii.
Dave Jones, Penn Live, and Corey Geiger, you're next.
Micah, thanks for talking to us. I'm curious what went into the decision to remain coaching at Purdue against North Texas rather than come immediately to Penn State. Different coaches have done that different ways, and it's always a difficult situation, difficult decision. What went into yours?
It was a really difficult decision, but I owe a lot in my career to Matt Painter, and my goal was to help him try and get to a Final Four when I left there. I never told him that. We never talked about that, but that was my goal. And he's an unbelievable coach, and I wanted him to have that experience. So my loyalty to him, my loyalty to those players, really, it made it an easy decision for me to stay. And I had great support from Sandy and Lynn, and they really backed my decision to stay. And I felt like I owed it to that team, that group of guys. You only get one opportunity with a team. Your team changes from year to year. And what we had this year was special. We had a young team. Nobody thought we were going to be able to do anything. We finished 4th in the Big Ten. And I wanted to see that through. It caused a lot of long nights and early mornings of, preparing to be the coach here while also preparing for the game there. And, I still, second guess myself and have, not regrets, but, I wanted to give my all to both sides. And I felt like I did that, so I'm okay with the results. I just wanted to win. I love winning. And I felt like I owed it to the guys there. I love those guys in that locker room, and they gave us everything they had. But I wanted to see that through, and I felt like that was the right move to see it through, to be a part of that group and finish what we started.
Corey Geiger, Nittany Sports Now, and Nate Bauer, you're on deck.
Hi, Micah. Welcome. Sandy talked about sustained success and competing year in and year out in the toughest conference. That is something Penn State has had a challenge doing for a long time. How do you do that? How does Penn State go from its history and tradition to a level of sustained success?
I think it starts with the guys in your locker room first. Building the character and culture of a program. They're your best recruiters. And the guys in your locker room, if you're giving them everything that you have every single day, they're going to attract more people like that. They're going to attract more people to your program. And now we're recruiting the right guys. Like I said, it's got to be the fit. The fit is the most important thing. I don't think you can go for the quick fix sometimes, or what's easy, or what is attractive. You need to do what's best for your program. And that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my goal in who we bring into our locker room. And then from there, we have to be a great defensive team. To have a chance in the Big Ten, you have to be one of the top defensive teams in our league. And if you go back and look at the stats, I want to say the top 7 teams on the defensive side of the ball were all teams that made the tournament. There was an 8th team that snuck in there, and then 9 went to the NCAA tournament. If you watch the teams that are playing right now that are left in the Elite 8, they're all elite defensive teams. Unless you're a Gonzaga and you're an elite offensive team. But you have to have a defensive mindset, and that's how you win in this league. And I've had a chance to see it up close and personal these last 2 years, but the other 2 years in the league of how we can do that, how we can try and be one of those teams. If we're consistent in that area, we're giving ourselves a chance every night, whether the ball goes in or not, and we give ourselves a chance to win. And if you do that, you can stay consistent within this league.
Nate Bauer, Blue 8 Illustrated. Audrey Snyder, you're on deck.
Hi, Micah. Obviously, pros and cons to every big major life choice. What was appealing and what fit for you taking this opportunity at Penn State? And if you could, what were some of the cons? What were some of the challenges that you anticipate on taking this position?
I'm going to tell you the cons list was a lot shorter than the pros list. I believe in this administration. Dr. Barron talking. The more I got to talk to Sandy, the more I got to talk to Lynn and everyone else. You see how special they are, how they believe in this place, and that's the most important thing. If you have a partnership like that, then you can have success. When you have good days and bad days, and that the people in charge have your back, that gives you a great feeling, and that's a great joy. But that's something that was really attractive to me. The other sports that are having a lot of success, that makes this very attractive. That makes this a great job. If nobody was having success at Penn State, then you would have a little bit of pause. But there are a lot of teams having success, and we want to strive to be in that conversation with them. We want to push ourselves to, women's soccer just won the Big Ten championship. We want to do it next. I'm jealous of what they just did. Coach Keeger and I want to push each other every day in practice and, fist bump each other as we're walking through the office to, push each other to be better. That's what I want to do, and that's a big part of why I came here. I didn't have any cons. I was looking for an opportunity. I was picky in that opportunity, but this place provided a great, kind of first opportunity to go somewhere that's special. And this is a special place. It'll always be a special place, and I want to make it special for everybody that's a part of this.
Audrey Snyder, The Athletic. Rich Scarcella, you're next.
Just questions for Sandy Barber, if I may.
Absolutely.
Sandy, I just wanted to get your reaction on the guys in the transfer portal. Were you surprised by the movement, and did you try to relay that to Coach Shrewsberry at all during the interview process that, there was a likelihood that could happen?
Yeah, Audrey. I mean, obviously, with where we are as an NCAA as it relates to football and men's and women's basketball and hockey, and I think the other sport is baseball transfers, and the upcoming legislation about allowing them to transfer freely without sitting out a year. So you've got the national context, and then you have the Penn State context, and so with where we are in college athletics, I'm not surprised at all. And I always believed, I told many as we had discussions that were close to the program that, regardless of what our situation was, that there was going to be lots of student athlete movement across college men's basketball. Certainly talked to Micah about it in the process, and he rightfully pointed out that this is all about relationships. So he talked about getting the job, still being with Purdue, but he did a ton of work as it related to starting those relationships with the young men in our program. And I think as we've seen over the course of now 10 days or so, actually 2 weeks now, that if we exhibit a little bit of patience, give these young men time, and it's exactly what I told them when I announced Micah's hire, which is that I hope that they would take a look at this opportunity now that was in front of them at Penn State under Coach Shrewsberry's leadership, and that they would assess that, and that they would make then their decisions about what's right for them and their families, and we would support them 100% in that, and particularly as it relates to finishing up strong academically, and making sure they put themselves in the best position.
Rich Scarcella, Reading Eagle. John Sauber, you're next.
Good afternoon, Micah. I have a two-part question. One, can you name one thing that you learned from Brad Stevens and one thing you learned from Matt Painter? And secondly, why was Adam Fisher your first hire? Thank you.
Okay, I'll answer the first question first, and I may need help on the second part. One thing I learned from Brad Stevens is his detail in his approach to preparation. He's one of the best I've been around. There's no stone unturned when he is preparing for a game, when he is preparing for practice, when he is preparing for a season. And working with him, there's questions that come up in a film session, and, it could be, you would think it's the oddest thing. Why is he asking that question? Like, I've never seen a team do that in 7 games or ever as I'm preparing. And then it happens in the game. It's almost like he has a sixth sense of what situations are going to come up. But his preparation, being able to go through everything and not leave any stone unturned to prepare your team for any situation that comes up, is what I learned from him. Coach Painter is probably the most low ego coach that I've ever been around. And he really showed me a lot about his program, how to run a successful program. He talked about the mistakes that he made and really said, why do you have to make these mistakes when I've already made them? And he's had ups, he's had downs, but he stayed the same in who he is as a person. And, when he started winning, he got back to the things that he was always successful with. And he doesn't ever doubt, who he takes as a player. Like, he trusts his gut. He knows who it is. It may not be the player that everybody across the country thinks is going to get it done, but he wins. He wins in that way and with his own special player. So that's what I've learned with him is trust your gut, be yourself, be confident in your values, and kind of learn that way.
Why was that your first hire, Adam Fisher?
Adam Fisher, that was the question?
Why was
He's probably watching right now, so I want to make sure I don't talk, too great about him, or it's like, Rebecca and Olivia are going to have to deal with that for the rest of the day if I say too many great things. He was somebody that I zeroed in on quickly. He came highly recommended. He's a great basketball mind. He's a people person, and he bleeds Penn State, and he believes in this place, and he believes in doing special things. So it was an easy choice for me. You start to look at things as this job, I thought it was becoming a possibility, and you start to narrow down who you would like to have on your staff. He was number one on my list. I'm so thrilled that he said yes. I'm excited to have his family join our family, and every day, we just have fun. We have fun. We work together. We roll up our sleeves, and I'm going to really enjoy him, but I think everybody else is really going to enjoy him too.
John Sauber, Center Daily Times. Mark Wogenrich, you're next.
Hi, Micah. Employing assistants as coordinators like Matt Painter did with you, and what did you learn as sort of the head of the offense at Purdue?
John, can you repeat your question? You broke up quite a bit.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Do you plan on employing assistants as coordinators like Matt Painter did? And what did you learn as the head of the Purdue offense?
I haven't decided yet if I want to do that. We will have guys that are specializing in what they do, but how we did it was pretty unique at Purdue, and a lot goes into that. So I'll make that choice down the line. But what I learned was, I took a lot of the things that I learned in the NBA about how to think on your feet pretty quickly, about how to adjust to how the defense is playing you, really looking at the game through that lens and making the changes to put your team in the best position possible. And I thought we tried to do that. You have to, I don't think you can be married to one certain way of playing and then your player fit that way. I think you need to be able to adjust. I think you need to be able to think on your feet. I think you need to be able to, on the fly, change things up. And that's what I learned by just doing the offensive coordinator role at Purdue. And, that's what we'll do here. We want to put our players in the best position to succeed. And whether that means from one game to the next is different, it's going to be that way. But that's, part of learning in the NBA and growing and being able to adjust.
Mark Wogenrich, SI.com. Daniel Gallen, you're next.
Hi, Micah. We saw you at Penn State Pro Day last week. What impact did Coach James Franklin have upon your decision-making process, and how did he maybe help convince you to come to Penn State?
I mean, you think of James Franklin, you think of a great man, first and foremost. His energy, his excitement. I know my place in this university. I need him to help us recruit, and that's huge for me. I love it. I love college football. I'm a huge college football fan, and I don't watch much NFL football unless it's my favorite team, but I watch college football, and I watch it a lot. And being able to have a man like James Franklin, a coach like him to learn from, to pick his brain, to the good and the bad of this place. He's reached out. He's just asked questions. He's asked how he could help. And, he's going through spring football practice right now. He's got a lot on his plate, but he's trying to help me. And I'm just thrilled to have someone like that, as well as the other coaches. Everybody here in this department has reached out to me and has welcomed me to this family. And I think it's a huge family in this athletic department that, we can all work together. There's, I have 0 wins right now. And, last week, 2 of our coaches hit 600 and 200. That's a long way away, but, they were at 0 at one point as well. So, I want to ask them, how do you get there? How are we doing this? And Coach Franklin's a big part of that, but so is everybody else in this athletics department.
We won't talk about Coach Rose's 1,400 wins. That's a long way away. Daniel Gallen, Penn Live, Elton Hayes, you're on deck.
Hey, Micah, nice to meet you. During your opening statement, you said that things haven't necessarily been all rosy. There's been some ups and downs. I was curious kind of what you meant by that and what kind of challenges you've seen over these past 2 months.
It's to get to a level like this professionally, it takes a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges that you face. I didn't play high-level basketball. I played at Division III, which is high level. I wasn't even I was just a solid player there. There's way better players and way better Division III teams right now than the level I played at. No knock on my teammates from Hanover, if any of you guys are watching this. But I didn't have the backing of a strong Division I coach pushing me to help me get a job. I had to grind it, as the kids like to say, through the mud is how I got it. I coached in Division III. I coached in Division II. I coached at the NAIA level. I was the head coach for 2 years at the NAIA level, and I still did our team's laundry. I still went out and swept the floors if we needed to. I drove the van to the game. Like, nothing within my journey has been sexy. And those are the challenges. My wife, we were engaged to get married, and I didn't have a job. I just finished as a GA at DePaul, and I interviewed for a lot of different places, and part of being thankful for your nose, I didn't get any of them. And I got married, and I didn't even have a job. Like, talk about sticking with somebody through everything. And I was kind of living in a bedroom at her parents' house, and look at me now, Molly, I guess. I don't know. She saw something in me, I guess. I don't know. But that's the journey I talk about. That's the ups and downs. That's the grind. But that's who I want to be. That's who I want my program to be. Like, nothing comes easy to us. Like, we don't want anything. We don't expect anything. We're going to work for everything. And that's who we want to be. That's who I am.
Elton Hayes, CNHI, Pennsylvania. Evan Patrick, you're on deck.
Good afternoon, Coach, and congratulations on your opportunity.
Thank you.
Coach, you are now the fourth African-American head coach in the Big Ten. The league at the beginning of this month had one in Juwan Howard. There's a lot of conversations going around on the lack of opportunity for African-Americans, and given your position for stature now, I'd like to know what words of encouragement and advice can you give others who are looking for that opportunity at the Power 5 level who haven't had it?
I take a lot of that responsibility on my shoulders. When I got this job, when it was announced, Juwan Howard was one of the first coaches that reached out to me. And, he and I had a lot of battles, in the NBA with Miami and Boston. And we developed a friendship. And then when he came to Michigan, our friendship strengthened. But he reached out to me and said, welcome to the Big Ten. And, I was the second, African-American coach in the league at the time. And now since, there have been 2 others. I think this is a special time in our profession for people getting opportunities. And I put a lot of that weight on my shoulders because I told him, I probably don't get this opportunity without the things that he's doing at Michigan right now, the success that he's had coming in and doing it in a first-class way. But there's a lot of people before him that are doing the same thing. Mike Boynton at Oklahoma State. You think of Leonard Hamilton, just down the line, a lot of coaches, Mike Anderson at St. John's, Patrick Ewing, who was in the NBA at the same time as a coach as myself. And, those are the guys that kind of paved the way for me. Now, it's my responsibility to do right for them. Like, it's my responsibility to do everything I can here to elevate this program, but also provide an opportunity for the next coach to get a chance. And, that's the weight I have on my shoulders, but I take on that responsibility with a lot of pride. And, I want to reach out and help as many people as I can, but people don't get an opportunity if I don't do well here. People don't get an opportunity if I don't do right here, if I don't do everything by the book, if I don't have our team prepared to play every single night. And I'm going to do that because that's my standard anyway, but I'm holding the standard for a lot of other people to really help them get an opportunity.
Evan Petrick, Daily Collegian. Adam Bittner, you're on deck.
Hey, Micah. You recently spent time as a news offensive coordinator, and you coached a long time some great offensive minds in basketball. How would you describe your offensive philosophies and the play style you hope your defensive teams will have?
Your offensive play style.
It'll be, similar to how we play in Boston. I want to teach our guys how to play basketball. And I became a coach. When I was in college, I wanted to be a college basketball coach because I didn't want to teach. So that eliminated high school for me. Now, that's no knock on teachers. I just didn't think I was cut out to teach, as the everyday grind that goes into being a teacher, the constant supervision, the constant learning, just everything. And then now, 20 years later, I am a teacher, and that's who I am. That's what I do. I teach this game, and I want to teach our guys how to play. So we'll do a lot of read and react. We'll do a lot of drilling situations, making the right pass, making the right play. How we want to play it will be a little free-flowing. I'm really big on spacing, giving each other a chance to make plays by getting out of each other's way a little bit, but also putting the onus on those guys to make the right play when it presents itself. But we'll work on it over and over and over in practice, so now the game becomes easy for them. And with me, everybody needs to touch the ball. Everybody needs to share the ball. The ball needs to move from side to side. And if you're doing that offensively, I think guys feel good about that. They feel good about the offense. They feel good about each other making the right plays, which leads to them being more connected on the defensive end. So I know that doesn't explain really a whole lot, but I want to hold some stuff back so these other Big Ten coaches don't know. And they're not worried about me, though. I mean, there's a lot of good teams and a lot of great coaches in this league.
Adam Bittner, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and then John Petishnock.
Hi, Micah. Congratulations.
Thank you, Adam.
Penn State has not been transparent with the public about this coaching transition. And by outward appearance, it hasn't been transparent with its own players. How important is transparency for you, and how do you plan to rebuild trust inside and outside of this program? Thank you.
It's a good question. Now, for me, trust is built over time. Like with our players, you can't have, when I talked to them for the first time, I didn't expect them to jump through the video screen and say, man, this is our coach. We love him. Like, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of conversations. And I want to give them that time. I want to have that time. And that's how you build trust. You build trust by showing people that you care over and over and over again. And then they start to feel like you have their best interests at heart. And that takes time. And we're going to do that. We're going to build trust. We have to build it in our own way. I have to build it in my own way. I have to be genuine each and every time that I meet with these guys. And I don't know another way to be. Like what you get from me right now is what you'll get from me on the sidelines, is what you're going to get from me in practice. And I want to be upfront with guys, and I want to tell them the truth. And that's how you build that trust. And that's how I'm going to build that trust. I trust our administration. And, if I didn't have that trust in them, I probably wouldn't be here. But I trust everything that they tell me. And, I believe in Sandy. I believe in Dr. Barron. I believe in everybody else in this administration. And I have that trust in them. Now I need to relay that trust to our players, and we'll keep making this a great situation for everybody.
We have time for two more questions. John Petishnock, the Penn State Alumni Association, and then Charles Holman.
Hey, Micah, welcome to Penn State and appreciate your time today.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Micah, in your opening statement, you talked about the support system at Penn State with former players, with the community. I wanted to ask, how do you plan on building those off-the-court relationships? And what's the impact and the value when you have a community behind you, when you have an alumni base behind you, and when you have former players behind you and rooting for your success in the program?
That's big for me. I think that's big for us. And like I said, it's not my program. It's their program. And I'm happy to having Adam Fisher as a Penn Stater, that's important to me. You know, the two guys in the back of the room, Taylor Battle and Nick Colella, those two guys are important to me because they've been here. They've all had success. They can help me transition, but I feel an obligation to, make sure that they're treated the right way. Their program is taken care of and in good hands. So, I want to do everything I can to, make everybody proud. Every time that our team steps on the court, we're trying to make Penn State proud. And when we leave the court, everybody knows what a Penn State team looks like. And that's important to me. That's important to this, the former players, the former coaches, the alumni base. If I'm doing everything I can to make them happy, then I'm doing my job the right way.
And last question to Charles Holman, Minnesota Recorder.
Congratulations, Coach. My name is Charles Holmes, Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. Mr. Hayes, I just asked you a question about diversity in coaching. I'd like to add on that, if I may. 3 years ago, there was 0 black head coaches in the Big Ten. Now there's 4. Can you just address or speak on that significance and you being a part of that significance?
I'm proud. I'm proud to be a part of that significance. And like you said, this is the greatest and most competitive conference in the country. And to be a head coach in this league is an honor. It's an honor for me. But to be an African-American head coach in this league is even more of an honor. And, I get a chance to challenge myself each and every day against great coaches. But, I know that I have the backing and the kind of the support of every coach in this league. All of them are great. They've all reached out. They've all said, good things. But, to have, Juwan Howard, to have Mike Woodson, to have Ben Johnson, we're all kind of going through the same thing at the same time. And, we need to continue to elevate this. We need to continue to elevate the status of the coaches, not only in this league, but across the country. And like I said earlier, we need to, help other people get an opportunity. And, it is something that weighs on me a lot, but I take great pride in knowing that, I'm going to do it the right way. And I want to be a model for the next guy, whether he's a Division I assistant, a Division II assistant, or he's working in Division III, or a player somewhere. I want them to have somebody to look up to say, this is how I can do it. This is where I can aspire to be. And, that's a huge goal for me.